It's Kate Richburg. Sorry, I was a little late on jumping on today, and I didn't even do the beginning thing. So I should do at least the countdown portion. I had to go ahead and restart. So let me at least do the countdown, and then I'll be right. Okay, there we are. And I had to grab my coffee too. So sorry about that. I had to restart. We were having a little bit of an internet issue, but I think we are good to go. So let's see. A whole bunch of you are on and saying hello, which is great. It is great to have all of you guys here. Today is Wednesday, September 14th, and we are going to be looking at the new components from TierraCast, the Woodland Collection. And I've been thinking about this since this morning when I was going on my walk. Whoops, I'm not sure why that went that way. When I was going for my walk, and I was thinking about the different components and how to put them together. And so, first, I want to start by showing you like the sizes and what they are. And then we'll get to it. At the end of the broadcast, I'm also going to show you I have a sneak peek of the kits that are coming. They're releasing the kits a couple of days late, so we'll see those kits. A big hello to Janice over on YouTube, saying hello over there, and a big hello to Gita, who is moderating over on YouTube. So it's great to have everyone from all over. I just love it. I love it that we're all beating together from all corners of the world. So let me go ahead and solo this. Whoops, you can see my cord here. Sorry about that. Sometimes, the internet, what I like to say, going live is not for the faint of heart, right? So once in a while, when I'm about ready to hit that live button, I get a, a warning that says low internet bandwidth. So the solution to that is restarting, but I think we are in good shape right now. So if something happens, just hang in there and I'll restart the stream, but I think we're good to go. So you can see we've got a bunch of really fun pieces from TierraCast. Now you can find them in our new arrivals, our just in section over on Beadshop. And we were super excited to see this new collection when it dropped. And we knew right away that we wanted almost every single piece that they carried. For those of you who, I think most of you are familiar with TierraCast, it's a company right here in California, actually, just up the road from us in Santa Rosa. And Kristen Aiello, she is their designer now, and she's been their designer for quite a few years now. And she has been churning out some really, really cool stuff. So this is their latest collection called Woodland. Okay. So let me show you here. Let me get a little closer. I've sent most of the silver ones. We have them in the different colors. I've sent most of the silver ones to Janice because she's going to be working up a little project with them. So I kept the gold, the brass, and the copper. Okay, so I'll show you uh, these finishes, but we also have them. I've got one little precious cap right here in the antique silver. So we've got the antique copper, antique brass, antique silver, and the gold. Okay, so let me start with these buttons. And the buttons, we carry them in all the flavors, but I've got the two right here, these really beautiful thistle buttons. And you can see in our descriptions, what we did was we measured them, but I'm going to measure them for you here because I know that you guys like to see the measurements live and in person. So this one is a little bit bigger than a 14 millimeter. And I also wanted to show you it's kind of substantial, right? I mean, all of their pieces are, but it's almost 1.5 millimeters thick, right? So it's a nice heavy piece. And I also wanted to let you know that the leather, a 2 millimeter leather cord will fit through that button shank. Okay. And the ones that match that, about the same size, just maybe a touch bigger, let me measure it, is the thistle um, charm. And the charm, the hole in the charm is also nice and big. It's a little over 2 millimeters, right? And again, it's kind of a heavy, a little bit heavier, 1.6 millimeter. And you can see the front and the back. The back is plain. Some of these are two-sided, which is kind of cool. This redwood tree, which I love, this one says on the back, not all those who wander are lost. You can see that on the back. And on the front here, which is this really cool looking redwood tree, very California, right, with our beautiful California redwoods, almost 30 millimeters in length, including that loop. And then the width is it's 16 millimeters, almost exactly. What I love about this piece is, see those little granules, the little granulation next to the loop. I think it looks really, makes it really look nice and finished. And that loop is big. It's 2.5 millimeters, so you can get cord and stuff in there. You may have already gotten these in the buttons, the Monstera buttons, the Monstera leaf, right? These are also two-sided. So you could, if you're making a pair of earrings, say, you could have one facing to, curving from the left and one curving from the right. These measure almost 20 millimeters, about 19 and a half. And you can see they're thick, not overly heavy, but they feel substantial, right? So a little over 2.5 millimeters for these. And these also come in the silver. It comes in all of the finishes. The other leaf that I'm really digging, and again, it's two-sided. So if you're doing something from the left and the right, they can, um, uh, swing in from the right side and the left side, two-sided here. It's this fern link, right? And the detail on the fern, let me see if I can get it in there, is really pretty. And both sides are equally as detailed. So there really is no front or back on that, right? And so this is a big one. This is almost 40 millimeters in length. But I think this would make a really great earring, especially if you're into kind of big earrings. And 20 millimeters kind of at the widest, right? So it's a nice one. So that's these guys here, and it comes in the gold, and then it comes in the silver as well. They have these other little leaves, and I just kept a couple. I don't know why I didn't keep more of them. I sent them on so you guys could actually order them, and I wouldn't hoard them all. But they're tiny, and it's a little leaf flourish. And what do we call it? It's a charm. Um, it's called a leaf link, I think, is what they call it. And it's small, but the holes in the top and the bottom are nice and generous. So let me measure this guy for you. Hole to hole, about 8.5 millimeters. And then the width, about 10 and a half. Okay, so you can see the back. The back is also detailed, but it's concave, right? So it goes in just a little bit, and then the front is kind of convex, where the leaf kind of comes out. So, but it's equally pretty both in the front and in the back. Then these are the poppy festoon links, and these are big. And I'm going to play around with these today. I've been thinking about how to use this actually because it's such a cool link. I love poppies, California poppies, our beautiful state flower here. I just love them, and I love the way that Kristen put the detail in these. So check out the poppy here. See how it's really beautiful. And then the back, you can see it's kind of plain, but it still has some detail on the back. And it's kind of hard to see, but there's some openings here right between where that leaf is, and the kind of line here in this component. So there are no holes here in the bottom. Okay. If you have a metal hole punch, right? Um, you could probably punch a hole there and there. These pieces, the base is a pewter base. It's actually known as Britannium. It's a heavy duty pewter base. So you will, if you punch a hole in them, you'll see kind of that pewter down inside the hole. But you could, if you had, a spare piece or whatever laying around and wanted to experiment with it, they're soft enough that you could actually punch a hole. Um, Gwen is asking, measure the length of the leaf. Is it this leaf that you want in inches? Let me see. In inches, it's a little over 1.5 inches on this one. There you go. And so this poppy link, it's big. It is 37 millimeters by kind of where the top is here. Almost 25 millimeters. It's a nice looking hoop, right? And it would make a great looking hoop for an earring. And then, of course, we've got the acorn caps, these little caps, and these are meant to fit an 8 millimeter bead, which I just happen to have sitting over here. So I want to show you a couple of finished pieces to remind you of some styles that might work with these. And then, I don't know, I'm just going to jump in and we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I grabbed a few of these. I'm going to grab this one too from Emily. Let me show you. I'm going to move all of these guys to the side here. Let me put them in this little bin. And if you go to our necklace section on Beadshop, under our projects, go to necklaces, things that we use with charms. Especially, I was thinking about doing a Bollywood necklace. I think this collection would look great. This is one that I just did. You remember this one, that the beaded braid that I did. I'm going to revisit this beaded braid actually in a few weeks. We've got to see some new, we're getting actually some new wax linen in, which I'm really excited about the color. But something like this, you can see, I'm just going to grab that leaf link. That leaf link, let me actually put it here, could be used like this, right? It could come, you could just, slide it on, keep braiding, then slide it on, or attach it with some jump rings here, or do like a single strand, like maybe you've got a single strand coming out there and maybe a single strand coming out like on that side, if that makes sense, right? That would work. You could also use it in place of, this is also a TierraCast piece, that TierraCast drop. You could use it here at the bottom, and then you could tie, there's a little divot right here on this piece where you could actually tie some pieces on like that, right? That would be really pretty. I also grabbed, this is a piece that I did a while back, um, and I did some of my own bullion right here. And we used some TierraCast pieces at the loops to come in and do this knotted section, and then it attaches to this, there we go, attaches to this piece of leather that I braided. You could use some of these connectors or some of these charms. The thistle would look great, and you could use that as the button too. That would look really pretty as well there, right? You could use some larger beads. These are 6mm, but you could pop up to 8mm, and you could put the acorn cap around them. That would also look really pretty. So these are nice. I love this necklace. I want to revisit it. You can see how I closed it off here with the silk wrap. And then this is just a kind of a loop and loop that I did with the 1.5mm leather. That would work. Emily is asking, could I punch a couple more holes? I could probably punch a hole even in this one. Again, this pewter is pretty soft, so if you did have like a hole punch or a screw down hole punch, you probably could punch the holes in them. So do I have one more? And then, of course, Emily's girlfriend necklace that we just did, right? You guys remember this one that Emily did using this series of charms, the tree, the leaf, the monstera. That would be really pretty as, as a closure, or as a embellishment rather, to this. And then the closure, you could use this Forest Secrets one that we have, and you could match it to the metal that you've used there. You could also, instead of using a beaded section here, you could put in the leaf, right? Wouldn't that be pretty? Emily's saying it would be great. She would call it a walk in the woods. Really pretty, right? You could connect that fern right there, and then connect the chain down there, and then have these guys hanging down there. That would be really, really pretty. So let me just start stirring things up, I guess, here. Where is that poppy? There's the poppy one. And I've got it in this antique brass. And I grabbed some chains here. I've got some different chains, the paperclip chain, this circle back, and I think this is that might be the smooth sailing chain here. I did want to point out, again, right here at the bottom, see where that piece kind of dips, right? Like right there. Something like that you could, and I just grabbed some Irish wax linen because I had it sitting here. And with this beaded braid, remember how I made that beaded braid, that tassel, by putting the wax linen through that loop and then kind of unfurling the wax linen so it was two strands, and then stringing the beads on it like that. You could do the same thing with this, or you could, this is actually a tassel off of the beads that we have, these 4 millimeter beads, but you could also use like a ready-made tassel down here at the bottom. Okay, but let me get some thread snips and just, or we could even, let me see, what do I have here? We did this, I've got tassels on the brain because we did them at the bead retreat. And Deborah, who made this really cool mala, Janice, kind of in honor of you and your love of the mala beads, we made a really cool tassel. So maybe I'll just make a tassel real quick. We've got plenty of time. I'm kind of looking around for what I might use as the base of my tassel or to measure it. I've got a piece of metal over here, and this is about the right length. So let me just grab that. And that's why I like working in my studio, having all of this stuff, right? So I guess I really feel, I'm really feeling like I want this to have a tassel on it. I don't know why. We have some that are ready-made, but it never hurts to revisit the how to make a tassel concept, I guess. So let me start. This is just a piece of, actually, it's a piece of metal I put through my rolling mill, but I needed something that was the right length. So this length of, or the size of metal, what is it, maybe 3 inches? Let me see. It's about 2 inches right here. So the tassel will be about 2 inches long. I'm going to grab some, you could use anything. I grabbed this blue fine weight CKC, but something else is kind of coming up in my head. So let's just see what happens here. Let's go ahead and wrap it. You could get, instead of having a piece of metal from your metal, right, a piece of metal from your metal collection, you could use a piece of cardboard or whatever. Janice is asking, how would I punch a hole? Let me see. It's not a tool that we actually carry here at Beadshop, but let me see if I have a hole punch. You can find these hole punches. I would recommend going to our buddies over at Beaducation. Lisa carries hole punches there. That would be a good place to find them. So so let me see if I see it over on the side there. Maybe I'll show you. Okay. And so here's this. I've wrapped. Remember when you're wrapping a tassel, this is half of the tassel and this is the other half, right? So I'm going to just go ahead. And if this were not metal and it were a piece of cardstock, I would actually cut a little opening here so I could kind of put my thread there so it wouldn't unfurl. But I'm just going to go ahead and cut that off there like that. Okay, so there's my tassel. So now there's the wrap for my tassel. Now I think I want to add the closure for the tassel with this waxed linen. I'm choosing waxed linen because it's sticky and it'll kind of hold it. So just kind of go with me here on this. I'm going to make let me get this kind of very carefully out of the way. I'm going to see how I've cut, I don't know, what is this, maybe 10 inches or so, right? I've tied a knot here on the end, and with my finger, I'm going to twist. I'm holding this with my right hand so it's solid, I'm gripping it here. And then with my left hand, I'm just twisting it. Now, those of you who are textile people, right, or who have made fringe on a twisted fringe on a scarf, or if you're a weaver, you've done this, right? There are actually little twisting tools that you use to make these kind of twists. But doing this kind of twist is pretty easy. Once you twist, and can you see how the twist is getting kind of tight here? You kind of bring these two ends together and see how the twist wants to kind of twist on itself like that. Okay, so I'm going to grab that cord, that kind of twisted cord, and I'm going to put it through. If this were, I wrap this kind of tight. If this, again, if this were what I usually use, I don't usually use a piece of metal. If this were a piece of cardstock, it would be easy for me to get this off. But of course, I used a piece of metal. If you use a piece of metal, wrap it a little bit more loosely. There we go. It's coming off though. So what I want to do is I want to keep this tassel really carefully wrapped. And I'm going to slide that cord underneath. I don't know when this became a show about making a tassel, but such is life. Let me get this all the way off. Note to self, cardstock, not a piece of metal. There we go. I'm going to really carefully get this cord in there. There we go. So it doesn't all unravel. And then see where this is twisted. I'm going to do this. Now I could also, Shelley's saying I could do this with a piece of wire as well. That is exactly right. I could do that. But for now, I have it with a cord. And we'll see what's going to happen with this. I'm not quite sure yet. So now what I'm going to do, and actually, Shelley, I like your idea of wire. So it never hurts to change your course in midstream. And this is Ceylon. Yeah, sorry about that. I think I said CKC, but that's actually Ceylon. Because I think I've got a better idea. So let me actually put the wire through this. This is a 24 gauge wire. Okay. Oh, thanks. Yeah, this piece of metal. Thanks. I like that piece of metal too. Just something I put in my rolling mill with a pattern plate here. So, yeah, I've got so many things I need to get my torch up and running again. It's been a while, and I'm woefully behind on things in my metal world. Okay, so here's the 24 gauge, right? Like this. And I'm going to, kind of like I'd wrap the top of a briolette, I'm going to come in. I'm going to have one piece of wire sticking up. This could also be 22 gauge, but 24 gauge is what I had sitting here. So I'm going to do that. Okay, and can you see how it's kind of wrapped here? Okay, and then, and I promise to get to the hole punch if I can find one. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this. I think I am going to use the, I'm going to get the wax linen in here somehow. Though I could also wrap this with wire. But let me just silk wrap it. We've got our skill builder on silk wrapping that you can go to and take a look at. A couple of you commented, you know, I read the YouTube comments a lot. I actually have the notifications on my phone when they come up. And a couple of you were really, I don't know, one of my videos or something must have been trending. It was something that I was kind of doing, I was kind of riffing off of and making things up like I'm doing today. Um, and someone commented that that's their favorite show is when I just make things up. So I hope you guys are finding this helpful. See how when I'm silk wrapping, this one came up. So let me see if I can figure out which. Ah, there it is. It's that one. Let's pull that back down. There we go. And let's pull this silk wrap underneath. There we go. So now I'm going to clip away. And I think that this, it's kind of hard for me to tell what color this is, to be honest. I think it might be chocolate because I don't think it's black. So it's a little hard for me to tell. Okay, so here's this. Okay, so now I'm going to clip. If I had my rotary cutter and my board here, I would just lay this down and cut it with the rotary cutter. But I'm going to clip this with my snips. I might want to come in a little bit later and fix it up a little bit or straighten it out, but that's actually not too bad. I also, with Ceylon, whenever I make a tassel, I go ahead and wet it down so it kind of tames all the little threads. Okay, so now I've got this this wire here. I think I'm just going to cut it away. And you're like, when are you going to get to the component? A TierraCast component. Well, I'm going to get to it right now. So I want that wire wrap to be real neat. So see, instant tassel. You've got a tassel. There we go. Now, let's get one of these 8mm beads, shall we? And let's get the acorn top. And let's see. Oh, come on now. Look at how cute that is. Or, hold up, hold the phone. So it doesn't look so much like a little person with a hat on. Let's actually do this. I'm going to get a 4mm. That's an 8mm turquoise, African turquoise bead. Let me get a 4mm African turquoise. And let's wire wrap it to that little charmer right there. Okay, so we're going to wrap, make our bend, because this would also make a terrific earring as well. The wire that I'm using, just as a reminder, is the 24 gauge, and it's in the vintage bronze. Oh, see what I'm doing? I am so excited to wire wrap that I'm closing it. I don't want to close it up yet. I want to connect it to, yeah, there we go, to that little beauty. Now I'm going to hold it with my bent chain, and I'm going to wire wrap. I'm holding it kind of awkwardly. Let me reposition. There we go. And I'm going to wrap from the bottom of that loop to the top of the bead hole. And maybe I'll just wrap over that bead and make the wrap between the bead and the top of the tassel a little bit heavier, right? So I've wrapped a couple of times, once down and once back up. And see how that looks a little beefier, right? Yeah, Kim is commenting how much she loves this 8 millimeter cap. I agree. I feel like the 8 millimeter bead cap is exactly the right size. So there's that. So now, where's that component? Here we go. So here's that component. Okay. And I thought I was thinking about putting this in and then dangling this, this from that, but I feel like that's too long and maybe I want this inside there. So let me see. I'm gonna let this simmer for a minute, all right? And let's move to what I would do there. So the chain that I want is, I think I want, whoops. Is that paper clip? Is that a little heavy? I think it is. Thank goodness I have just about every chain we have here. This is the smooth sailing chain. This is what I want. This is it right there. That's what I want. And we want the jump rings that match it. And we could attach directly with a jump ring, but let's make it look, I had to take a bracing drink of coffee there. Let's make it look a little deliberate. What I really want are 6 millimeter, but for some reason I can't find my 6 millimeter, so I'll use that 8 mil. Let's get some of these little coil spacers and things. Let me get that 24 gauge wire. Where did my wire go? Vintage bronze, there it is. And let's go ahead and just do a quick wire wrap. We have the wire wrapping instructions, the how to do a simple wire wrap right on our website at Beadshop. So I'm not going to go over the steps here because I'm in create mode. Oh, you know what? I do have some 6 mil. I have them in lapis. That's a better size. The 8 mil is just too big. Let me cut those open. Let me use that. That's good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a closed loop, and I'm going to connect here and here with the jump ring so it's got more movement. Okay, so here's this. And we're just going to wire wrap that closed like that. Clip away your extra. There we go. And let me put, I've got some of that little TierraCast too. Whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the camera like that. Let me get that back in its space. Let's put on that 6 millimeter and this guy and this guy. So look at how nice that connector looks with those little extra spacers. Okay. Janice is asking if there's a jump ring that's big enough. I think there is, and that's what I was going to try, Janice. So you read my mind on that one as I kind of let it simmer. Let's go ahead and wrap this connection. Let me get this up a little bit so you can see it. You can see my table is getting messier by the moment, but that's the sign of creativity, right? Let's clip away that extra wire. I used way too much wire, but I really didn't know what I was going to do, so I wanted to make sure I had enough. I also want to make sure when I cut this wire away that I only cut that piece of wire and not the loop. It's happened before, and I'm sure it'll happen again. So now I can connect that loop. Let me open this up. And close it up. And then I'll do the same thing over here. And I want to make sure that the loops are facing the right way. So my chain, because this chain has a large loop and a small loop, so I want to make sure that the chain is laying correctly, and that looks right. Okay, let me get a little tighter there. Okay, look at how pretty, how that really, I don't know, there's kind of an opulence to that I really like. Let me see, I'm going to let you guys look at that for a second. Let me see if I've got a ring here. Sometimes the best solution or the most elegant solution is the simplest solution, right? So you don't have to, I don't know, play around with a million different, what do I want to say? A million different designs, maybe just simply connecting it with that jump ring. I've got these little bead-along findings that we carry, and it has this giant jump ring in there. So I'm going to grab that. It also has these nice closures and stuff. So I'm going to put this to the side here. Let me make this other one just real quick. Where's that piece of wire? Let me see how fast I can wrap this. Up and over, down and under, trying to make these loops so they're about the same size. And I would also, when you're playing around with these, mixing your metals, depending on like the finished look that you're going for. Mixing your metals is always kind of fun, especially with these kind of woodland components, right? There's a lot of different colors in the woods and stuff, so maybe making it a little more quote-unquote boho feeling. Mixing those metals would be fun. So there's that. Push that in. Let's see, I need a... Hopefully I have some here. I do. Some of that TierraCast. The cool thing about all of this TierraCast is that the finishes all match really nicely. So if you're not mixing your metals, where's the hole on this? There it is. And I need one more. This is my all-time favorite spacer there. Can you see it? It's that coil spacer. These are all good things to have in your jewelry kit. So it really adds, I mean, look at how just darling that little section is, right? Spacers really make it. I mean, I could just have a plain 6mm bead there and wire wrap it, but I think it adds, as Janice likes to say, a little more curb appeal to the piece by adding a little bit of, you know, a few spacers on there. It makes it look nice. Now let's go ahead and clip and tighten that up. There we go. Let's attach it here. And this chain, you know, I don't know. Maybe I would, you know, pull an Emily and do a short chain, and then maybe do some beaded work. So let me just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to just do 5 chain links here. Okay. The back can be something else. I'm going to cut the small link actually right there. And then I'm going to do 5 links, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I connected it to the small link. So I'm going to cut away the big link here. Okay. So let's go ahead and get these here. Now, the Bollywood necklace that I made a while back, and I've got the sample here somewhere. I still haven't completely unpacked all of our sample archive that we have here. But if you look it up online, you can see that it's like a five-piece necklace that you can wear together or separately. I'm thinking in the same vein, kind of like that for this piece. Okay, so there's a connector, right? Just like that. So let me go ahead. I'm going to connect. This is a pretty big jump ring out of that bead-along little kit. Let me tell you how big it is. You could also do a wire wrap, but let me go to millimeters. The outside diameter is 8mm. The inside diameter is almost 6, right? So there's a lot of room there for it to move around. 18 gauge, I think this is. So it's heavy enough. Let's go ahead and put that piece in it and close it up. You could also use our heavier 7mm jump ring, but I had this to hand, so that's what I'll use. And I think it sits pretty nicely there, like that, right? And can you see how it kind of moves a bit just there? Okay. This chain is called smooth sailing. That's our smooth sailing style of chain right here. Now I think it's time to do something. If I can find that acorn cap. Does anybody see it on my table? Here it is. I want to do something with that. And I want to do something. That looks too clunky, doesn't it? Looks a little clunky with that. Maybe it needs to be a little further up. And maybe there needs to be something that's small there. Okay. Now, if I had a head pin right here, I'd just use a head pin to wire wrap this. But I don't want to take the time to find a head pin. So what I'm going to do instead, let me see if this will work. Sometimes limiting what it is that you have kind of makes you think outside the box. Let me get another one of these jump rings. How am I doing on time? I could do this all day, but I don't want to go over too much. But I want to give you guys some ideas that you can kind of riff off of, right? So back to that wax linen, your friend and mine, because wire is an obvious choice, right? You could just get your Irish wax linen, your head pin, and put that on. But look at how this size 8. Come on now. See that there? There's no wire. There's the wax linen. It's connected to that loop. And now at the bottom, I'm just going to tie a little overhand knot and tighten it up. I could add a little dot of glue right there at the bottom, but this wax is going to hold it. So let's pretend that I've glued it. I could also keep my strands there and put some beads on here. So I'm not going to cut it off yet. Okay. Oh, Tammy says this makes me melancholy. Just like playing in the studio with you. We're just missing the soup dumplings. That is correct. Oh my gosh, it is true. My old studio in South City was very near a fantastic dim sum place that we just loved. Those were fun times for sure. I'm going to connect just a small piece of chain here. So let me do this. Now I want dim sum for lunch. Fresno, I don't know. I haven't found the dim sum place in Fresno yet, but there's got to be a place here somewhere, right? I'm finding the center right here of this, and I'm going to connect it with another jump ring. Okay. Let me grab the jump ring here and here. And here. And look at how I'm going to get rid of that. It could be any thread, but I wasn't liking how that was dangling. Okay, so there's that. Now, I'm going to use that, but I feel like that's just too big, right? So maybe I'd put this in the back, or maybe I don't know, I'm going to let that one simmer. But I think that one, that's the right one, right? Let me get the chain. I think I know which chain I want to. Pardon me. Oh, thank you, Donna, for the birthday wishes. Yes, Saturday is my birthday. I'm going to be the big 5'6" on Saturday. I am not sure quite how that happened, but Friday I have something special for you guys on my Free Tip Friday. I have a special little birthday project that I think you guys are going to love. So stay tuned for that. Here it is. Here's the chain. We call it our 2 lanterns chain. Can you hear me rustling around? There we go. That's what I want right there. Do you see where I'm going with this? Let me get that. Where's that little beetle on? Here we go. Let me get this one there. And look at how this little beetle on kit has these little tags that you use, right? The thistle does come in a button as well, Kim, so I could use that. I'll probably use this thistle maybe as a button in the back too. These little tags are meant to be used with those spring rings. So now I need to clear the decks because this is getting a little hard for me to see. And we really need this to be right. We need it to sit correctly. So let me get rid of this chain. I really wanted to use paper clip, but it wasn't. I could use the smaller paper clip, but it wasn't in the cards for me today. Let me get rid of this. Okay. I also grabbed, because they were back there. You remember, I don't know, I did these a while back, these little right angle weave beads. Maybe I could use those there and there. Remember those? But let's see. Let me get this going first. Let me see how these, so this length of chain, let me measure this out for you. Where's my tape measure? Here it is. I've really got to clean my studio, you guys. It is a mess in here. Ever since I got back from the bead retreat, there is stuff all over the place. That's about 5 inches. Okay. Yeah, these little variety packs, these so come in handy. I really, really like them a lot. They're handy to have in your grouping of bead findings. So let me just connect this one, and then this one. I'm going to close it now for the moment. It might be a little bit big. Maybe I'd go down a size, but it's what I have here, so I'm not going to worry about it really. We'll take a look and see what it looks like. Okay. Let's see. And this one. And this one. I wanted to put these together first before I made this third one, because if you're making something that's cascading like this, you kind of need to hold it up and see how it sits. So let me do the front so you guys can see this real quick here. See? So see how this is sitting? You can't really see. There we go. Right? So that looks about right. Okay, so let me go back over here. Okay. So this one then, if this is sitting right, this can't be too long. Okay. And when you look at this chain, this is that 2 lanterns chain. When you look at this chain, it doesn't, there's not an exact place you would want to hang this from. Does that make sense? It's like it's a big lantern and a little lantern, big lantern and a little lantern. Here it's easy because there are links, right? But I love the texture of this chain. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to 1, 2, 3. So there's the little one there. So I'm going to get rid of this link right here, this big one. Okay? Just hang with me here because I need that little piece of chain. So I'm going to get rid of that link, and I need to be really careful when I cut this link away that that little piece of metal isn't going to fly up and hit me or the camera. Okay, so there we go. So now I've got this piece, okay? And see how I have a link right there. Now I need to do the same thing on this side. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. And I think I just cut this piece. Measure twice, cut once. Let me make sure this is right. Yeah. Okay. So we sell the chain, we sell it by the foot, right? So if you are, let's say, just getting chain for your collection, right? I would get a couple of feet, even like a single foot of stuff that's kind of fancy like this. I mean, this is like 2 inches or 2.5 inches of chain. So the whole necklace, the whole piece that you're doing, you don't have to have the same chain for it, right? Let's see. So that's going to go there, or the same chain all the way around. Does that make sense? So let me connect that piece. Sometimes all you need are small little bits of chain. Let me see if I can get that closed. There we go. So there's that one that's sitting that way. Now let's connect that one. Okay. Here. There we go. And so see how since I connected it that way, it sits right. I feel like there needs to be, I need this bead somewhere in here. So maybe I would I'd get a head pin and dangle them down or something. But let me connect these. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. So let me reopen this. I want to make sure that everything is facing the correct way. So let's see if I'm going to need a jump ring or not for this. No, I think it'll be all right. That's going to connect there. We want to make sure that they're in the right order. That'll connect over there and close. So when I hold it up, you can see I'm holding it up and I'm looking at it. Let me show you from the front. We're going to have to make it, let me put it to the side. See how that center, though when I turn it around, let me show you this. It actually kind of hides the connection of the chain I don't know, maybe it's okay. I might lift it, or I might drop the acorn down one more with a jump ring. I'm not sure, but I can kind of play around with that. Okay, so here's this, but you can see how that looks. And again, we can play around with that spacing. Here's this that's going to sit right there. Now you can play around with the rest of this. Okay, I could connect those little spacers or those little tags there. I could, this isn't the right color. I should have saved some more of these. I might have to get some to finish this. I could connect this leaf connector there, and then maybe string using soft flex. And then string up, right, using some of these 8 mils and 6 mils, right, up to the back, right? Yeah, my mom's saying drop the acorn down. I think I will. I think I'll put maybe one more jump ring there and drop the acorn down. Or I could just get a jump ring here. That's probably what I'll do. I'll add one more jump ring there, and that'll drop the acorn, see, down a little bit here, like this. And then just string the rest of this so it's a closure. I could also just wire wrap these. Maybe that's really actually what I do, because this wire I think is the right thing to use. So wire wrap these sections in. But I need some more of those guys. I could, you know how I like to use these little coil spacers as connectors, right? Like that. So I think I would come in and do something like that. Let me drop this one down. Where's my jump ring? I've got one there. I've got one more over here. And maybe I would also use, maybe I could bring, that just looks too big, doesn't it? I think it looks big. I like it. It's interesting, but it's too big. Maybe I would put, but I want the acorn to stand on its own. Sometimes you just need to know when not to gild the lily, right? Maybe I'd close this off kind of like what we've done with Janice's necklace when she does that little bit of leather in the back, right? Like this, right? So if I wire wrap this, I could do a little piece of leather to the back and have that that button be the closure, right? That might look kind of nice. So let me just connect with this. Oh, thanks, someone. This is just Janice pointed out my birthday bling. Yeah, this is just the stuff I wear usually, but I did treat myself, and this is totally fake, you guys. Super fake, sterling and CZ, but it felt very Edwardian and old, like part of my family jewel collection, which we don't have a family jewel collection. Well, we do, but it's all costume. But anyway, so thanks for noticing. It's my little birthday gift to me because, God forbid I don't have enough jewelry in my life, but it makes me feel fancy. And at 56, I need all the fancy feeling help I can get, right? Let's open this up. 56 isn't that old, right? Let's open this up. Is this the right? Nope, that's not the right one. It's this one. I want that heavier one. But when you do a piece like this, right, when it's all kind of, let me close this and then I'll attach it. Like Emily was talking when we were at the bead retreat about how doing a necklace or doing kind of an original design is a series of solving problems, right? So that's just what you're doing as you're going along and making this is you're just solving a puzzle, right? Every step of the way. So it's kind of fun to do that. And I honestly, you guys, had no idea what a surprise, what I was going to do with this. Because sometimes if I overthink it, especially for a broadcast, I get overwhelmed and I'm like, oh, which one am I going to do? What am I going to do? But being live on the air makes me have to decide right away, right? I have to make a decision. I can't hem and haw and go, oh, what am I going to do? So when you're under pressure, you have to make those decisions. And so you really have to go with your gut, your designer gut, right? I keep losing the jump ring I'm going to put on over here. Let me grab one more and put this on. It goes on there, closes up. So can you see how important it is to have a variety of jump rings and wire and little bits of things to go on your stuff so that so you always have the right thing? So there we go. I think this, yes, that is, let me lay it down. That's exactly right, that length. Okay. Ta-da! That's it. So now what I'll do is, and you'll see this, I'm going to get these in the right color. I'm going to put them there and there. And I'm going to wire wrap and use these guys for the closure. I'm going to get a little piece of leather, which I've got sitting right here. And I'm going to do that little closure where I should have cut a little bit more, but where I do that closure that goes over this button. Tighten that up. We'll clip it. And then that'll be the closure over there, right? It actually goes this way. And maybe before I put that there, maybe that's where I'll add that blue there. And then I'll just do a series of things that kind of look like this up and around. It does have a very vintagey kind of feel. Let me move it up a little bit so you can see that piece. I would like to maybe utilize this piece in the back, but again, I don't want to gild the lily, you know? Sometimes you just have to know when to stop adding pieces. Maybe I don't need the blue there. I don't know. I'll see. I'll see how it looks. But I'm pretty happy with this. I'm going to let you guys take some last looks at this, and I'm going to see if I can find my hole punch. Do I see it? Yeah, I do see it actually over here. So I'll show you. The screw-down hole punch, again, we don't carry here at Beadshop, but you can go over to Beaducation. I may have some actually on my Kate Richburg jewelry site, but I'm not sure if I do. Beaducation is always a great place to find these too. This is just a metal hole punch. You've seen me use this if you watch any of my metal videos. The cool thing about this is that it's a screw down and you can put an infinite amount of metal through here, right? You also see hole punches that are handheld, right? Like plier punches. They're not quite as strong. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to put a hole in I've got this one right here. I'm going to see if I can get a hole right in there. Okay, so this will be continued. Okay, but I'm pretty pleased with the way that's come out. It does have kind of a vintagey type of feel to it. So I'm gonna go for this small one here, this 18 gauge hole, because it's kind of a small spot here. And I'm gonna come in. I hope you guys can see that. I'm going to come in with my and if we're out of any of the woodland stuff, it looks like we might have sold out of a few things already. Don't worry, we'll make another order and we'll get those back in super quick for you. These are it's such a cool piece. So see here, I'm kind of looking at where I want that little thing to be. This hole punch has an Allen wrench for it, but if you have a regular screw down too, that'll work. So you just pop it through until it pierces the metal, and then I'm going to rotate it back up and out. And you can see there's that hole. It's a little hard to see right here. Let me put something that's white behind it, maybe. You can see that there, or maybe a piece of wire or something. Let's see. But there is definitely a hole going through there. There it is. It's easier to see on the back. There it is. Can you see that right there? So that went through pretty easily. Let me see if we can put a hole in this charm just for fun. I'm going to go a little bit bigger. We have a few minutes. Let me see if I can center this. I don't know if it'll be centered or not, but I'm going to go with a 16 gauge hole, and I'm going to go up a little bit from the edge because I don't want to pop this through the edge. And see there, you can see I've kind of lined it up. Might be a little off center, so let me open that up. Let me get it in my sight line here. Bear with me here just a second. My sight line. And then I'll get it back under the camera so you guys can see it. That looks about right. And see, it's pretty thick, right, to do this. So I would check this hole punch. This is just a screw down hole punch. Check my buddy Lisa over at Beadshop. You can find that there. It's a pretty easy punch to find. We should eventually probably carry these. Yeah, look at how nice that hole is. Easy peasy, right? And you can see on the back. Looks nice. So there it is. Bam, done. So that hole's there. So yeah, pretty easy to put the holes in those guys, right? So it looks like TierraCast is completely out of the acorn caps. We promise we will get them back in as soon as we can. I'm sure they're scrambling for them. Yeah, look at how pretty that looks just on the inside there. You do a little dangle or something like that. So Woodland, I think, is a big hit. I hope you guys enjoyed all of this fun playing around with all of these woodland components. You can find what we have left. And again, if we're out, you'll find them. Again, soon we'll get them in as quickly as we can. But I'd love to see what it is you make with them. So, of course, oh, and as I did this, let me put this banner up so you guys know where to find us on all of our social media. There you go. And I did promise to show you um, the um, bear with me here just a moment as I do this. The sneak peek of the kits, which I think you're gonna like a lot. So just bear with me here 1 second while I get those going. We're going to have these up on our website really soon. Let me get this one here. But for our social, we would love to see you guys over on any of our social media. If you do make anything, not only with these components, but with any of our other components or products that we carry here at Beadshop, do give us a tag. We would love to re-Instagram you on our Instagram, so at beadshop.com. You can also join us on Facebook at the Bead Table, which is our really fun group. We've got a lot of really great ideas and a lot of great camaraderie that happens over there. And of course, you can like and subscribe to us right on our YouTube channel. We'd love to see you over there. So here's the sneak peek, you guys, of the kits. You can see me, I'm over here. The All Who Wander necklace, that's coming. They should be here by the weekend. So stay tuned to our newsletter to find these. These are fun, quick kits that they do. This is the fern and thistle bracelet, which is a wrap bracelet. Really pretty. Comes with everything you need. And then last but not least, these cool fern earrings. So the kits will be coming and the restock will also be coming. So I hope you guys that you enjoyed this kind of little creative foray. It was fun for me as well. And make sure if we are out of any of the components, go ahead and put yourself on the list, the notification list, and you'll be notified as soon as we put those back into stock. All right. Thanks so much, everybody, and I will see you Friday for a special birthday kit that I have cooked up. Thanks so much, all. Stay creative, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.